Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new week out there so far. And I hope everyone had an awesome weekend as it went by too fast, as it always does. Here to break down this storm system that we have for this work week. Now, there is areas of energy out ahead of the main storm system that we'll speak on gradually throughout the video. But the main focus for the first half of the video is going to be this storm system that moves in later this week. This is going to produce heavy snow for someone, and it's going to produce high winds for a lot of people and a lot of rain for a lot of people too. So we'll speak on this. We'll try to figure it out as we go. We'll compare model guidance and we'll really zoom in to individual areas when it comes to the possible snowfall we can get out of this as far as snowfall accumulation. Will have a segment for the lake effect snow areas too. So definitely utilize those timestamps. They're up to help you folks out, just to kind of maneuver throughout these long videos that I know that I make. And we'll definitely get through it. After we get done discussing that, of course, we got you covered with today's forecast. We'll spend a little extra time on the Northeast as we do have not only snow, but we have some ice. It's going to move into sections of the interior New England Northeast area. So we'll certainly break that down in detail for you folks up there. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. And as always, I've not got to the comments throughout the weekend. I always get caught up with those from the weekend on Monday afternoon. So I'll certainly will get to all those prayer requests and comments and questions, whatever they may be. Sorry about the mess behind me. All the boxes behind me. It's Christmas time. You're ordering stuff from Amazon, and there's not a whole lot of other areas in the house to put it. So if you're wondering what all the boxes are, just Christmas time. So with that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So what we're going to do here is still compare model guidance. It's wild. We're still having just some back and forth with the GFS and the Euro. The GFS more snowier than the Euro. So we'll compare model guidance to get you guys a good idea of what's going on here. So we'll start off for tomorrow morning, Tuesday, December the 10th. And we'll keep this going. Another area of energy starts to move out ahead and overspread the entire eastern U.S. It's around tomorrow afternoon. The green is rain, the blue snow, and the pink you see on your screen that might come up is freezing rain, and you might see orange too, which is considered sleet on this output. So we continue to move forward here. We're getting into Wednesday morning. We're getting a little bit of freezing rain, and I think this could be a hefty freezing rain event for areas of New Hampshire, Vermont, and especially inland areas of Maine. We'll speak more on that as we need to. Low pressure starts to deepen considerably over the Carolinas as we're getting into Wednesday morning. We got 1,005 millibar low riding right over the Carolinas. This is already going to get some gusty winds going on in the eastern sections of the Carolinas and the southeast. As you can tell, the cold air is dropping down. That 540 line is trying to catch up with the moisture. And if you're wondering what's the 540 line, Mitch, this is cold air aloft, not cold air at the surface. It's 32 degrees aloft. Let's just keep it at that for now and discuss that more deeply as we need to in the future. But the green is switching to blue. That means rain is switching to snow in areas of Ohio, eastern Kentucky. And then it turns into a more, I would say, a larger event here, okay? You start to see the light blue turn into more of the darker shades of blue. It starts to snow pretty heavily as we're getting into Wednesday morning. This is all rain, east of the Alps like it normally is. It seems like these days. Boo-hoo for me, right? But I live in Columbia, South Carolina. But it's still freezing rain up here in areas of Maine. I mean, how long do we hold on to that? That's a big question. But 1,000 millibar low Wednesday morning, so it's deepened even more. It's snowing pretty good, turning into a decent snowfall event. And then check it out. We go into Wednesday midday, early afternoon. It's snowing from northeast Tennessee, folks, all the way through western Kentucky, snowing in eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, eastern Kentucky. It's snowing pretty good in almost the entire state of West Virginia, snowing pretty good in eastern Ohio, western PA. I mean, the GFS says, hey, this would be a heavy period of snow, at least for Pittsburgh. Rain starting to switch to snow in Buffalo. Look at the lake effect snow ongoing in the Great Lakes region here in Michigan and starting to go into southern Ontario. I do think there's multiple things going on here. I do think we'll have energy back over here. Maybe some snow showers, light snow Wednesday afternoon in St. Louis. And I think that these could go on and slip into areas of Kentucky. Look at the lake effect snows up here. There's a lot to focus in on. Obviously, focus mainly on the area you live because that's the most important for you for obvious reasons. But the rain is switching to snow across the interior northeast area. Rain is switching to snow from Binghamton to Scranton, all across the southern tier of New York, the Adirondacks. It's, for example, it's raining in New Hampshire Wednesday evening and most of Vermont, but then it abruptly switches to snow potentially. Now, where is this low pressure going to go? There's the main low pressure right here, a 990 millibar low going right over like Binghamton, right? This kind of ejects due north, right over Vermont. So it's not, these pieces of energy really aren't, I would say, going like this, right? Or this could bring maybe a snow risk for areas closer to the I-95 corridor. Instead, these low pressures are going like more so like this. Okay, this is bringing rain to even Maine while it's snowing back here in like West Virginia and even the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee and Virginia. So it's just because of the way that this trough gets negatively tilted and the way the low pressures eject way north, kind of south to north, if you will, not, southwest to northeast like they typically do. But you keep going here, and we take it all the way into Thursday morning. We got some lingering northwest snow ongoing in West Virginia. Look at the lake effect snows across all the Great Lakes. And you keep this going. This could be another hefty event for Lake Erie, Lake Ontario also. And then we go all the way into Friday, and things, start to calm down somewhat, at least hopefully. And then we have to watch the pattern after that. So you notice the GFS shows a lot more snow in those areas. Please get off our screen. Thank you. So we'll take a look and let's see if we have the 06Z ready for us. I think we do. So this is the latest Euro model. What is it going to show for us? Well, same thing Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, getting into Wednesday morning. Look at the ice up here in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Here comes the cold air digging down. Low pressure, not as strong at this point. It's still pretty strong. It's about the same, but I would say it's a few to several millibars weaker. But look at the rain switching to snow, kind of like what the GFS is showing, just not as aggressive for the central and southern Alps. And I would say the latest Euro has trended a little bit more snowier for West Virginia, Western Virginia, a little bit of snow all the way down here to like Roan Mountain. Look at the snow shower activity in the Midwest. I mean, slipping all the way into Western Kentucky. A little bit of snow shower activity in St. Louis for Wednesday afternoon. A lot of energy up here in the Great Lakes region. And you keep this going. And the latest Euro says, hey, it does switch it from rain to snow in the interior, southern, the southern tier of New York. The Poconos, the Catskills, certainly the Adirondacks, the Tug Hill Plateau, rain switching to snow across PA. Does it catch up, for you folks here in the Northeast? Not sure. What we do know is with these stronger low pressures going right over areas of the Northeast and New England, high winds, we're going to have a segment for that, is definitely going to impact you guys. And then we keep going. And, with these low pressures just ejecting right over Maine, it never really switches to any kind of appreciable winter weather up here in Maine. It stays mainly rain for Maine. And, of course, you got the northwest flow snow showers all the way down to West Virginia, heck, probably even further south. This is Thursday morning. Look at the lake effect snows just raging on Thursday morning, especially across Lake Erie and Ontario. Even off Lake Huron, all the Great Lakes seeing it, all of them, just going to add up. So it's going to rain on top of the snowpack, and then it's going to snow back on top of the leftover snowpack. Okay, so let's talk about snow totals with this. And of course, you saw the differences between the GFS and the Euro. Euro's obviously, not showing as much snow. GFS is. So let's actually look at how much snow both of these models are showing as far as accumulation. So the GFS, wants to dump a few to almost several inches of snow down to the Smokies. Heck, even drop some accumulating snow to Gatlinburg, the Tri-Cities area. Northeast Tennessee has already had a pretty nice start to winter, I would say, with a couple inches of snow depending on where you live. But once again, it would show some snow up here in Northeast Tennessee and all the towns and communities up here. Western Tennessee, a few inches of snow it shows. Eastern Kentucky, an inch or so of snow. And then you get into West Virginia, the Allegheny Mountains, the Highlands. I mean, it wants to show over a half a foot of snow. Some areas getting over 6 inches. Even Charleston getting a couple inches of snow. And check out Eastern Ohio, couple inches. Gets into Pittsburgh, an inch or two. And we'll have a special segment for this little band of heavy snow right here with this lake effect here in a second. But, you compare this against the Euro. And let's see if we have the latest 06Z Euro. Let's see. Let's go all the way out. We do. Cool. Let's go all the way out to Friday morning. I'll probably have to switch this on all the Euro panels here. But this is the latest Euro. I mean, it's not really showing any snowfall accumulation for Northeast Tennessee outside the higher terrain. Shows some dusting amounts across areas of the Ohio Valley down to Kentucky. And just shows a few inches of snow at most for the higher terrain of West Virginia, up into the Allegheny Mountains. Just a dusting to a half an inch in Pittsburgh. Just not showing near as much for these areas. And that's a pretty big difference. You compare that with this, I mean, that's a pretty big difference. And such a, I mean, we only have a couple more days to figure the storm out, if that. So now we look at the blend of all models. It quite literally, in my opinion, blends the GFS and the Euro together. Now, it actually still wants to show some love down here in Tennessee. It wants to, drop a dusting to a half an inch. Heck, it even has like an inch of snow near Nashville. That's not a forecast. Even shows a little love down here in northern Mississippi. But widespread totals across Kentucky between now and the end of the week is, an inch and a half of snow. Ohio, Dayton, Columbus around an inch, up to Cleveland, a couple inches of snow. And, a few inches of snow for West Virginia, the Smokies, 1 to 3 inches of snow up here to Boone, maybe an inch. And it does show some dusting amounts along the I-95 corridor if we can switch this rain to snow fast enough. So that's the Mid-Atlantic, the Alps, the Central and Southern Alps. What about our friends up here in the Northeast and New England? So this is between now and Saturday morning. This is the GFS. And once again, don't completely ignore this. We're going to have a separate segment for this. A lot of this is lake effect snow right here that you're seeing. But I'm going to zoom into this area here in a second, okay? But really look outside of these heavy bandings. Same thing with Lake Ontario. A lot of this is lake effect snow. But you see this in interior New England area right here in like southern Vermont, going for a foot and a half of heavy snow. And look all the way down to the Berkshires, several inches of snow, not really a lot down to Connecticut. The I-95 corridor with the GFS doesn't show much, but the Catskills, a few to maybe 6 inches of snow down to the Poconos, maybe a couple inches of snow. I mean, even the southern tier, just outside the higher terrain, a few inches of snow. And then, Maine up here with the multiple rounds. I think up here in Maine and New Hampshire, this is mainly the couple of rounds of winter precipitation out ahead of this main storm. I don't think any of this snow much, if any at all, is really driven off the powerful storm system we're going to get over the next few days. But, we compare this with the Euro, and it's not a whole lot different, except it just, obviously nothing for the I-95 corridor, but it does highlight this area once again, and we're going to have to switch it to the 06Z again, because we do have this in range. And, it does highlight this range, this area, once again, 6-7 inches of snow here in southern Vermont, New Hampshire, a few inches of snow. The Adirondacks gets hit with some heavy wet snow, several inches. The Tug Hill Plateau, this obviously is a lot of its lake effect snow, but just light amounts in PA. The southern tier, a couple inches of snow. I-95 corridor not showing much. What about the blend of all models? I think this is showing the possibilities well, but listen, the blend of all models a lot of times is conservative. I do think some of these interior areas could really switch from rain to extremely heavy wet snow. But the southern tier just going for an inch or so, not a whole lot. There is some dusting amounts showing up for the I-95 corridor. A few inches across in the interior New England area. Adirondacks, a few inches closer to the Tug Hill and Lake Ontario, more for obvious reasons with lake effect snow. Just a couple inches, to the Berkshires. The Valley region, the Albany, just a tenth or 2/10, a few tenths of an inch of snow. Not a whole lot with this. So we'll continue to watch it. Now let's start to talk a little bit about the lake effect snow areas. So let's speak on Ontario first. And this is between now and we're just going to look at the blend of all models. Okay. And I would add probably a little bit more snow to this, but this is between now and around 7 p.m. Sunday. Okay. So now into the end of next weekend. Telegill Plateau going for another foot to a foot and a half. Watertown itself could get more, but this specific model output showing 8 to 10 inches of snow. Syracuse, 2 inches, but some of these areas could get more. Buffalo is a tough area, okay? This model going for 5 to 6 inches of snow. You could get just a couple inches. You could get a foot. We just got to watch the flow, the directional flow of this lake effect snow, which could favor a little tilt to the northeast. And then we get down here into western New York, Jamestown, 8 to 9 inches of snow. But between Buffalo and Jamestown, someone could get a foot and a half of additional snow. Now, we're going to kind of do all this on the fly a little bit. You need to stay still for me, okay? Stay still. I love pivotal weather, but I don't at the same time. But we go down to PA with this. And, of course, this is going to show Erie. When we move here in time all the way to, this is going to take us about Sunday morning. Erie only going for 8 to 10 inches of snow. I know you're probably screaming at me. Only? We don't need any snow. But listen, a lot more snow than this could fall. It very well could. It's showing other areas down here too. But Erie, I would say if you go from Erie to Buffalo, someone in here is going to get hit very hard. This is going to be the favorite area, I think, here in western New York for the most snow. And then, of course, we'll book it down here to Ohio. Once again, move this through. And this isn't going to show a whole lot for us, but show us a little bit. Cleveland only going for about a couple inches of snow. Akron, inch or two of snow. So not a lot of lake effect up here in the northeast corner of Ohio that I'm seeing with this event. And then we'll take it to lower Michigan. Okay, now you guys could get hit pretty good with this, and more snow than this could fall. So just remember that. It's between now and 1 p.m. Sunday. Traverse City, 8 to 9 inches of snow up here in the northern lower Michigan area. Foot and a few inches. Grand Rapids, several inches here from Grand Rapids to Kalamazoo. And just this area of southwest and western areas of Michigan could get several inches of snow off this, if not more. And like I've said a couple times already over the last few minutes, this could be underdoing it for sure. And then we take it up here. We'll take it all the way to about 7 p.m. Sunday in the UP of Michigan. And, man, someone could get hit pretty hard here in the eastern UP. Steven, you guys, let me know. Lisa, let me know what you see up here. But the eastern UP looks to get hit pretty good with this. Of course, you got to get tucked in a little bit closer to the southern shores of Lake Superior. But someone could get a foot to a foot and a half of snow in this area, if not more. And then the peninsula here could get several inches of snow to close to a foot, depending on your location. So, yeah, sizable lake effect snow event again. Nothing historic by any means, but definitely a pretty large event. So, my friends here in Atlantic Canada, you guys could get a little bit of freezing rain as we're getting into Wednesday, especially in northern New Brunswick. But this is going to switch to rain Wednesday afternoon. And as the main system approaches Wednesday evening into Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I think this is going to stay mainly rain for New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and everybody else included. And it's because your low pressure is going to cut to your west. And I think y'all are just going to get a wind-driven rain across this area. But did want to show you guys, I do think this will eventually deliver rain for, Newfoundland. But I don't think this is going to be your classic nor'easter that brings just feet of snow for you folks. But it is going to be your equivalent to a nor'easter as far as winds. Very strong winds in these areas are likely. So now, speaking of the winds, let's break the winds down. And let's start from the south to the north. And we'll go all the way up to Atlantic Canada, which I know y'all do kilometers per hour. But let's start down here in the Carolinas. If the GFS is correct, the eastern Carolinas into southeast Virginia could get 50 to 60 mile per hour max wind gusts. This would certainly catch some people by surprise. If we look at the Euro, and we're going to just kind of compare model guidance. Not as much, but still very windy conditions. 30, 40, 45 mile per hour wind gusts across the eastern Carolinas and the southeast areas of Virginia. And even some gusty winds down here in the coastal areas of Georgia and Florida. And with the trough digging down, we're probably going to get a high wind event for the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee also, pretty much across all of the apps. All right, let's switch it back to the GFS and let's go up a little bit further north. And I mean, significant winds, guys. Look at the Delmarva. 50 to almost 70 mile per hour max wind gusts are possible across the Delmarva. I'm talking about Delaware, the coastal regions of Maryland, eastern Virginia. Strong winds also likely in the higher elevations of West Virginia, Maryland, into the higher terrain of PA. And look at Long Island. Max wind gusts on the GFS going for over 70 miles per hour. New York City, 60 mile per hour wind gust max. Look at the Jersey Shore, 60 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts are possible as far as the max. This is going to cause issues. And then we head on up to, let's see, Mass. Where you at? Right here. Okay. And this is the worst case scenario, I would say. Between now and the entirety of this storm system, Boston, GFS, max wind gust of 69, 70 miles per hour. Southeast Mass, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, goodness, that's an 85 mile per hour wind gust. Cape Cod, 70 to 85 mile per hour max wind gust. We've already showed you Long Island, but there it is again. Look at the strong winds, even inland. I mean, a 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts across southern New England. Now the Euro, not quite as aggressive inland, but listen, it's about the same. It's about the same for Southeast Mass. There's a cutoff here, but I mean it's the same for Southeast Mass. I mean Massachusetts. I mean it's same thing. 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts max. Not as strong winds across Long Island, but the further east you get out on Long Island, the worse it'll be. But very strong wind gusts in New York City too. So we go up to Maine. We go on and just look at the Euro. A very strong wind gusts, folks, across Maine. I mean, the coastal regions of Maine, the down east areas of Maine could get just flat out hurricane force winds. 70, 75, maybe 80 mile per hour wind gusts based off the Euro. This is going to cause power outages. It's going to cause issues. And we look at the GFS, and goodness, I mean, all the way up to Caribou. GFS says, hey, Caribou is going to get a 70 mile per hour wind gust. And just look at the coastal areas of Maine, all of Maine. I mean, this would be an extreme event. And I'm honestly surprised there's not any kind of warnings or watches out ahead of this event. I really am. But, just to take a look at my friends here in Atlantic Canada too, with these winds. And let's look at this. And kilometers per hour. Wind gusts in kilometers per hour. Here we go. Do the entire event here. I mean, Nova Scotia could get over 100 kilometer per hour winds. New Brunswick, 100 to maybe 120 max kilometer per hour winds. It's a very strong wind event. If you move this to miles per hour, I mean, that's tropical storm to hurricane force winds across areas of Atlantic Canada, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick. This is a pretty big event for you folks. So definitely, I would say the winds are the biggest impact with this. So that's an update on the storm system. We'll continue to update you. But as far as today, watches, warnings, and advisories, we have winter weather advisories across Montana, so winter storm warnings. We got winter weather advisories across the north central U.S. We have, we continue to have these winter weather alerts across northern Minnesota for what's been going on. And really, I would kind of zoom into this. There's winter weather advisories which expire tomorrow, but I think we'll get more alerts reissued. There's a pretty, I would say, dangerous ice event that can move in over the next couple days for New Hampshire and Maine. In fact, when I was kind of bringing all my information together this morning, I was honestly surprised at how high the ice totals are that they're going for. And we'll talk about it here in a second. But winter weather advisories in all these areas across New England, I mean, they stretch all the way down to the Berkshires and the interior sections of Massachusetts also. So the Adirondacks. I will tell you, there's a risk of flash flooding today. There's a slight risk for New Orleans over the Pensacola, Mobile included, Gulfport. This means in the yellow area, there's a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being exceeded within 25 miles in a given location. And the risk of thunderstorms stretch all the way up into southern Kentucky. We have a general risk of thunderstorms in this green area. Nothing real severe expected today. The southeast, as far as rainfall for today over the next, I would say 2 days, we're going to continue so all of a sudden the southern stream is awake now that we have warm air flooding the area. It just seems like the way it works across the southeast. It typically is very hard to get two to tango down here with the cold air and moisture. But we're getting into this afternoon. Rain will continue to fall across the deep south, the Gulf shorelines, and thunderstorms even across southeast Louisiana that you see down here, southern Mississippi, areas of the southern half of Alabama. We'll continue to just get this moist flow. We'll get all the way into this evening. More showers and thunderstorms continue. We'll wake up tomorrow morning, same areas getting the showers and storms across southern Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then we'll take it all the way into tomorrow afternoon. And we just continue to get this steady southwest to northeast stream of moisture across this area. And then all the way into late tomorrow night, big chunk of moisture on the way once again. And this is kind of the beginning stages of our system that's on the way. So rainfall between now and just the next 2 days. I mean, Atlanta could get 2 inches of rain. Greenville, Spartanburg area, 2.5 inches of snow. I wish. Of rain. Inch and a half of rain in Charlotte, Columbia. Inch and a quarter. We get down here in southern Alabama, a few inches of rain. Panhandle of Florida, the further west you get, the more rain you get. New Orleans, about 3 inches of rain. Birmingham, about an inch. Chattanooga, about an inch. Knoxville, inch and a half. Gotta watch out for a little bit of snowfall accumulation in northeast Tennessee over the next few days. But the northeast, first round of moisture comes in. Heavy snow in the Adirondacks. Heavy snow in Vermont, New Hampshire. Snow can make it all the way down into the higher terrain of Massachusetts also. This continues into this evening. Still snow in the Adirondacks. Snow gets all the way into Maine later this evening. It snows pretty good. Drops a few inches of snow at least. And then that moves out. And then another push of moisture begins to move in. See the pink? That's freezing rain. We start to get some light freezing rain across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. And then as we're starting to get into late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, a more significant push of moisture could move into a little bit of cold air situated here, a little bit of cold air damming up here in the mountains of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and we could have more of a significant freezing rain event before it potentially switches to rain. But speaking in detail of this, let's take a look at the Adirondacks and Vermont. And, the snowfall accumulation between now and 1 p.m. just tomorrow. Just 1 p.m. tomorrow, couple inches of snow for these areas. This is really zoomed in. Newport, 1.5 inches. Stowe, 2 inches of snow. Brattleboro, just 0.2 of an inch of snow. Springfield, 1.5 inches or so. So I will take this off, and just freezing rain between now and tomorrow afternoon in these areas. A few 1/100ths of an inch of ice for anybody in this map. Not a whole lot, but you add that with a little bit of snow, could cause dangerous driving conditions for sure. Now we go over, this goes out all the way into 7 a.m. Wednesday. So further out here, snowfall between now and the next basically 48 hours. Freiburg, 3 to 4 inches. Plymouth, 1 to 2. Concord, inch or less. Nothing really for the coastal areas down here. Sanford, 2 to 3. Portland, 2 inches. Augusta, 2 to 3. Auburn, 2 to 3. Rumford, 3. Rangeley, 2 inches of snow. Jackman, 1 to 2. Now look at this. This is ice between now and 7 a.m. Wednesday. This is a appreciable ice event, guys. I mean, we start to get into the interior areas right here of New Hampshire and Maine. Freiburg going for 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of freezing rain. That is enough to cause major issues. In some other areas like Rumford, 1/10 to 1/4 inch of ice. Augusta, maybe only a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice. But Freiburg, for example, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of ice with 3 to 4 inches of snow. To me, for anywhere, that's enough to pump out a winter storm warning. So we need to watch out for some of these interior areas of New Hampshire and Maine for sure. But we go up to Maine, further up north in areas of Maine. Not a big snow event for you guys. I would say for the rest of Maine, an inch or less, or maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow. Not a big snow event. We do need to watch out for the ice, though. Let's go to the ice forecast. Now, this only goes out, well, no, it goes out till 7 a.m. Wednesday. So not as much ice up here. A couple hundredths of an inch of ice. Not a big deal at all. But, you add in just a little bit of ice, it could be a little bit a big, I say it's not a big deal at all, and I'll tell you it is a big deal. But this could be something to watch out for. Just a couple 100ths of an inch of ice mixed in with a couple inches of snow. Certainly something, you guys can handle, but, typically you guys get more so ice, more so snow rather than ice up here for sure. But moving forward, talking about the south central U.S., it's pretty quiet now. We are going to get a little bit of snow across the front range of the Rockies today. And this snow could drop all the way down into northeast New Mexico. Some snow is possible in the far western sections of the panhandle of Oklahoma, the far northwestern sections of the panhandle of Texas. A little bit of light snow, certainly possible. And in fact, I did not have a graphic pulled up for your area, but I am going to pull it up because I have not showed you guys much attention at all because there just hasn't been a lot going on. So, forgive me for that. But, snowfall, you guys let's go on and just take a closer look at Colorado because, that looks like a pretty decent event. Yeah, Denver Point South, was it Pueblo? You guys could get few to several inches of snow. Southern Colorado, a few inches of snow is possible off this. So just a quick hitting, I guess you would say, a snowstorm. I don't think it's anything, you guys can't handle, but it's been pretty quiet in this area. But a few to several inches of snow is possible depending on where you live in these areas. But the north central U.S., the main system is going to fly to your north. So a lot of areas will stay dry, big chunk of snow going up into Canada. The cold air wraps in, you're going to get some scattered, I would say mixed precipitation. Some of these areas could get some sleet, freezing drizzle, maybe some snow showers across the UP and Michigan today. But outside of that, that's about the only area that will see much of any weather across the north central U.S. today. So the western U.S. will continue to get this scattered snow showers and this energy that'll slide down the eastern half of the Rockies here across Wyoming. Some strong gusty winds are possible. We get into this evening, that snow begins to fall in Colorado. Some snow showers possible across Nebraska later this evening. Somebody says in the comments yesterday that I never mentioned Nebraska. If I don't ever mention your state, it's probably because you might live in the western half of the U.S., or if it's in the central and eastern U.S. and I'm not mentioning your state, it's probably just because there's not a whole lot going on. And for my friends here in the central U.S. that tune in, there really just has not been a whole lot going on for you guys. But some snow showers is possible depending on where you live in Nebraska. And then we're going to just continue to get some scattered snows across the northern plains up here. You see just some scattered light to maybe burst of moderate snow. I don't think it'll be a huge deal for you folks, but definitely some festive flurries out there. Temperatures, it's warming up. It's going to potentially get up to 60 degrees as far north as northern VA today. 40s and 30s locked in into much colder conditions for the state of Maine, teens and 20s. But look, you're going to get some rapid snow melt today across the Great Lakes area. You might hit 50 degrees somewhere in lower sections of lower Michigan today. But definitely going to get some snow melts across the snow belts up against Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. And it's climbing all the way into the 60s and 70s. And this will be some moist air down here with rain falling. So definitely getting that little bit of early to mid-December warm-up like we were thinking we were going to get. A little bit chillier across the Midwest. And then we got some cold air diving back down into the northern plains, north central U.S. And it's going to be a cold day across the Rockies. So definitely some more cold air kind of filtering down. But you get down to Texas and central to southern Texas, 70s and even maybe some low 80s depending on where you live. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. And y'all have a wonderful start to your week.